Morning, everyone. Is it still morning? Another 25 minutes. Do I need to introduce myself? I think I've met most of you at some point or another. I think I'll skip that part. But thank you very much for inviting me to speak here today. The thing that jumped immediately into my mind when I was asked, what do you want to talk about, was this sense of mission. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I've been asked to briefly, as kind of tied into the sermon, briefly go over my experience in Senegal. For those of you who don't know, the Big African Summit, I was directing that event. So I was there for 3 months, just over 3 months. And then going to Korea, debriefing and stuff like that. And it's kind of still fresh. So maybe we'll just spend the first 10 minutes or so quickly going through things. For those of you who don't know, when I give sermons, I love it when people put their hands up and ask questions, interrupt. This is a kind of informal environment. Feel free to, say something. Don't wait to the end. Just go ahead and do it. Should we go through those pictures? So for those of you who've never been to Senegal, this is what Dakar looks like. It's interesting. It's hot. It's dusty. It's French-speaking. It's 95% Islamic. It's incredibly faithful. It's also, there's no religious problems there. There's no animosity between different sects and no animosity between Christians. And there's a big Christian presence. There's a big cathedral on the main road. They get along really well. But one of the things is our movement, UPF and FFWPU, they don't have much of a foundation there. I think there was one moment where, I don't know if you've seen Kathy Rigney, we were staying together and it was her birthday, so all the Senegalese members, all the second gen came, and it was maybe about a dozen or so, and we're thinking, oh great, this is the local community. No, that's all the second gen in Senegal, fitting into this tiny apartment living room to say happy birthday. So we really don't have much there. We don't have property, don't have money, have a few ambassadors for peace. But what we did have was we had commission from True Mother. We had True Mother telling us, okay, go to Senegal and run this event, which is kind of enough. Because when we started, we didn't have a budget, we didn't have a location, we didn't have a program, we didn't even have a date. We were just told, this has to be done. Okay, great, we'll do it. Next slide. Unnamed. This is Apple's normal thing. I don't know, some of you probably know. This is what Dakar looks like. It's incredibly beautiful. It's, up-and-coming holiday destination. It's most famous for the rally. And we managed to find and rented an office right on the seaside. And that was my view that I worked with every day. So I'm very grateful for that. Next slide. And this is the same view at nighttime. So, yes, it was difficult, but it was also very beautiful as well. Next. This was the summit kind of branding. Because, okay, so there is a stigma against working in Africa, because it's considered to be very difficult, especially, it's non-English speaking Africa, the western part. And it's actually very difficult to get people to want to go, actually, because it's really difficult. You're going to have to eat rubbish food for 3 months, and you're probably going to get sick every week, and you're not going to be able to communicate with people, and you're going to feel trapped, and all this sort of stuff. So the question is, why did I go to Senegal? Why was I called to Senegal? Because this was the biggest event our church has done in a long time. It's bigger than the World Summit in terms of prestige, in terms of budget, in terms of how complicated it was. When we were asking the UPF International to come, they were like, oh my gosh, this is too complicated, we can't do this. So why was I asked to come and run the thing? It's because we had this problem where we couldn't get people to want to go. We couldn't get people to commit. So I'm not the A team or the B team or the C team or whatever. There's, these professionals in Korea and America that do that kind of stuff. I'm kind of maybe the X or the Y team, something like that. I'm way down on the list of people to call. But it's really difficult to get people to come. But incredible things happened, as we'll go into next. So this was the venue. This is a purpose-built venue. This is specifically for political summits. The only people that use this are huge organizations, the government. We had 1,500 people here, roughly. And 1,500 people is a lot of people when you're considering that every nation from Africa was represented. There weren't enough hotels in Dakar to accommodate for them, so we ended up using 5 different hotels around the city, coordinating the transport and looking after people like this. They have these incredible facilities. I've never seen a building like this in London or America or any of these. For those of you who don't know, I do conferences kind of for a living. I do a lot of meetings and stuff. And this is completely state-of-the-art, best conference center I've ever used in my life. Everything is completely modern, completely up-to-date, and absolutely beautiful. If we go to the next one. So, unnamed, especially this one in the red. Have any of you seen the Peace TV report on the Africa Summit? There are a few things that weren't mentioned, which I think were really important and we should mention. One of them is the first meeting between Mother and Macky Sall. So we were talking together, it was with Protocol and with Dr. Walsh, and we were working out, protocol is very important in Africa. Everything has to be done the right way, and there's, it has to be done like this, because there's this huge worry about offending people, and rightly so, considering the African continent's history. So we're talking with Protocol, when does Mother and Macky Sall, the president of Senegal, first meet officially? And we were thinking it would be at this moment. Is it on stage? Is it in the green rooms? This sort of stuff. And then Dr. Walsh, kind of not expecting a yes, kind of throws it out there. Why doesn't Mother meet Macky Sall at the palace the day before? And then the Protocol goes, oh, okay, that's possible. We'll get back to you and see how that works. So in the end, that was their first meeting. True Mother was invited into the palace, and they had their first official meeting there. And the way that that went was very interesting, because this is the bit that wasn't reported. So, they do their official greetings, they shake hands and, exchange whatever. And then True Mother goes, oh, do you mind if I speak for a little while? And then, Macky Sall, of course, being the great diplomat and really great guy that he is, he goes, yeah, sure, no problem. Maybe not quite like that. And then True Mother proceeds to give a 40-minute Divine Principle lecture, starting from Adam and Eve up through to to the present day, going through the providence of restoration to the president of Senegal. And he sits there and he just listens the entire time. And of course, we're all freaking out. We're like, what is going on? Protocol's looking a bit weird. Have we ruined the entire summit before it's even begun? Have we overstepped our bounds? But actually, in the end, Macky Sall, he goes, well, thank you very much for telling me that. We need people of faith like you, otherwise the world will never be, will never be healed. And that was an incredible moment when True Mother, she came and she took a motherly role. She didn't speak down to him like a child, but he listened like a child. Child is not the right word, but, as if listening to his parent, which was incredible. And I thought that people should know that. It's not just, we're so used to in our movement dealing with numbers and budgets and, this is a victory. Why was it a victory? Because we did this many number. Actually, we've gone beyond that now. That's irrelevant. What is relevant are things like this, where, Mother can take positions and Father can take positions where they couldn't take it before. And that's not measured in numbers. It's measured in personal interactions and relationships, right? So let's go to the next slide. For instance, this is another weird... This was live streamed for those of you who saw it, but there's a backstory behind this. We were talking with Protocol again, and usually, I don't know if you know this, but in our church tradition, we give flowers and to the guests and whatever. So we're thinking, okay, Mother received flowers, And then Macky Sall received flowers. And then the protocol goes, oh, hang on a second. No, no, no. Macky Sall does not receive flowers. That's not something that he does. And we're thinking, okay, it's a bit rough. They were really adamant about that. And so we were thinking, okay, we'll give a medal to Macky Sall, the Good Governance Award, and then we'll give Mother flowers at the same time, balances it out, makes it look nice. So we give Mother the flowers, and the first thing she does is she turns around and gives them to Macky Sall. And we're like, oh God, what's happened here? And they're, obviously she's having a laugh. Dr. Walsh knows exactly what's happened, so that's a slightly nervous laugh over there. Macky Sall's, I don't know, their protocol was very, very adamant that Macky Sall does not receive flowers, but I guess if True Mother gives you flowers, you don't refuse, right? So this whole event was completely different. It was completely different. Things went wrong every single hour. For 3 days, I didn't sleep. I slept maybe about an hour under my desk. I had a really nice hotel room, and I didn't get used. It got used, the shower got used, but nothing else got used, because things just kept going wrong. But actually, it only goes wrong if you look at it from the perspective of this old perspective of numbers and protocol and blah, 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 blah. But actually, that's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is develop relationships. And from that perspective, everything went really well. Let's go to the next one. Again, this is the venue. This is incredible, insane venue. And they have this in Dakar, where it's still developing. If you go through Dakar, it's building sites everywhere, because they're investing so much in development and education and people. I guarantee in 10 years' time, it's going to be a big place. So when we first went to Senegal, we're thinking, why? Why Senegal? You've chosen a really difficult place. It's Islamic, which sometimes can be very difficult because we tend to share Christian roots, and I don't know if you listened to Mother's speech. Did any of you listen to Mother's speech? She talked about Jesus a lot, and we kept looking around the room because we invited all the top religious leaders in the region, the sheikhs and the caliphs and all that. We're kind of looking around, seeing their reaction. No problems whatsoever. But actually, it's smart, because we didn't know this going in, but by the end of it, things just worked out. We had this incredible venue that we could use, that the government paid for us to use. We had finding hotels was difficult, and there was a hotel that was right next to this venue, and Hilton were going to use it, and something like that, and they had delayed it. It was empty, 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 empty. And then we get a call from the president saying, oh, by the way, that hotel that it's not going to be open anytime soon. Well, Radisson have just stolen the contract from Hilton. You might want to visit Radisson and try and book that hotel. Bear in mind, this hotel it's not built yet. It's still a building site. So what we do is we go straight to the hotel. We talk to the head architect and the head foreman, and we talk to the director general of Radisson. And he's like, well, how do you know that we got this contract? Because there's literally 3 people that know that this has happened. And we go, oh, the president told us, we'd like to book your hotel, please, the whole thing, for the days of the conference. So we actually booked the hotel before it was even built. And it was incredible, because we couldn't find a place to put True Mother. And this place was just built, ready for her to use. So it kind of all worked out very well. Just go to the next slide. Another big important thing about this was the Gorée Island liberation. Have any of you, did you hear about that? So for those of you who don't know, Gorée Island was one of the central ports of West Africa that was feeding the slave trade in Europe and America. So it was really this, I'm sure you can imagine, it's this incredibly heavy place of deep, deep sorrow, because the atrocities that have been committed there have fed atrocities that have been committed around the world. This is really one of the central points where things channel through there. So actually, we didn't tell Mother about this. Usually the way that this works is we say, oh, we want to do this, and we report that to True Mother, and True Mother goes, oh, that's a good idea, or no, that's not a good idea. We didn't report this one to True Mother. I don't know how she heard about Gorée Island, But this was her initiative. She said, okay, I want to go to Gorée Island and do a liberation there, which, bear in mind, it's a kind of cultural treasure. It's a national treasure, a regional treasure, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So actually doing anything there is very difficult to do. You really need top-level support from the government, from the local government, from UNESCO to get something like that done. But actually, through the dedication of some of our members, like really creating these relationships, everything that we wanted, we were given and more to do with Gorée Island. So something was working there. Something was working there. So True Mother's now established a holy site and the House of Slaves, which would be where the slaves were kept and then shoveled into the boats. That's now holy ground. This is the Liberation Prayer. For those of you who have not heard this, I recommend you find it. I think it's on the European Vimeo. Yeah, listen to this prayer. It's really something. It's a lot of sincerity and a lot of heartbreak and hurt gone into this. Let's go to the next slide. So there's another thing, breaking away from these traditional themes of numbers and whatever. True Mother wanted to give a gift to Gorée Island because they didn't have a medical boat. There's a ferry that goes, but then during the non-ferry hours, if somebody has a medical emergency on the island, there's nothing they can do. So we donated this boat. We asked True Mother, what should we call it? Thinking it would be, you know, Hyojong boat for Hyojong or whatever. She named it Victoria. Interesting. Something to do with victory. I don't know. Maybe we can take some credit there as British. I'm not sure. But that's the first thing that people see when they come into the island is our boat with the UPF logo slapped on it. And then it's actually, it's been used to save lives already. I think it was used to save a life, and I think it was 16 times it had been used within the first month. One of them was, I think somebody had some liver problems, and another one, it was used to get a pregnant woman to the hospital. And the reason we know about that is because the news, the national news reported it. So, you know, these kinds of small foundations, those are the kinds of things that don't make the big reports, or our traditional reports, shall we say. But those are the things that really matter to people. You know, we're helping people, we're, you know, changing people's lives. We've saved people's lives. So this is kind of going into the sermon topic. For those of you who, you know, haven't heard, a call was gone out specifically for Europeans to help, Europeans, especially French and English, to help at the Africa Summit. And this was not to help Africa. This was to help Europe. Because Africa has this kind of spirit of mobilization. You know, people have quit their jobs and moved to Zambia and moved to Senegal, no problem. And, you know, saying, okay, I need 100 people, you'll get 100 people, no problem. I need 200 people, you'll get 200 people, not a problem. And that's something that we're missing. So True Mother kind of called us to be there, which I was very happy with because I was already there and it meant that I could get my friends to come over and help me. And STF sent, you know, their whole delegation there. And sorry to say, but we worked them to the bone. To the, you know, I felt really bad for them, actually. I've heard that, you know, I was talking to Deborah, the director in Korea. You know, she was saying they still joke about Senegal. You know, when there's still, oh, you know, don't worry, there's this new condition. It sounds really hard. You're being sent to, you know, this graveyard country, whatever. Don't worry, it's not going to be as bad as Senegal. No problem. Because, yeah, we really did work them. This is the morning. This is not evening. They're exhausted. This is the second day of in the morning. And also, this is also in the Gorée Island. So I think this is something that we can be proud of as Europeans. So Gorée Island, like I said, UNESCO World Heritage Site. For those of you who've dealt with, you know, any sort of heritage, whatever, Uncle Tom, I'm sure you're aware, it's very difficult to get anything done on any sort of protected land. You know, for those of you who've worked at Cleave House, to get anything done in Cleave House is very difficult because you need, you know, papers. There's so much red tape. The ultimate red tape is the UNESCO World Heritage. And we wanted to build a road there. And we thought it would be really cool if we had European second generation working together with African second generation to build something at the House of Slaves and to offer that to the people that are there. And they were like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a great idea. And we were like, okay, sure. We were expecting to have to fight for it. You know, this person would say no, so we'd have to get this person, do this person a favor, and then buy this person, take this person to dinner, and, you know, wine them and dine them. No, they saw the value of it immediately. They really understood that where we were coming from was not a place of media, publicity, whatever, a place that we were coming from a place of offering and heart. And we wanted to restore something, not just for ourselves, but for our ancestors and our descendants. And they really understood that. So we built this road. This is now the nicest road on the entire island. The rest of it is just dirt tracks. And we built that. I think that's really cool. Yeah. This is our airlines team. We had problems with the airlines, so I called my mum and I said, get the next flight you possibly can to Dakar. We'll pay for it. Just buy it and we'll reimburse you. And she came. Because we had to book about 500 flights in less than a week. So this is their... These guys did not sleep for 3 days. And where the green, that's them colouring in, okay, we've done this country, we've done this country, we've done this country. And the reason that I want to show this, and all the work that STF did especially, is because we were so understaffed and we were so unsupported that we had to ask these 17-year-old kids to do jobs that you wouldn't usually put them in without 10 years experience. You know, that was the reality there. It was really desperate situations where we wanted people to come and we were desperate for people to come, but the people wouldn't come. That sense of, that pull was not there. So we had to take these guys and push them 200, 300%, let them make mistakes, deal with those mistakes, and that was the reality. That was the only thing we had. Those were the only people that came. Okay, next. Another thing, this is the President's Book of Gorée Island. Presidents sign in this book. Presidents and True Mother, the only people that have signed this book. Because the foundation that was made there was True Mother was treated the same, if not higher, than another head of state. That sovereignty was recognized over and over and over again. The government paid for her room, as is standard protocol, you know, given complete escort, you know, special cars, bulletproof cars, etc. You know, other heads of state came, but she got the preferential treatment. She was given the best room in Dakar, for instance, the only bulletproof cars that you could get in Dakar, the best police escorts. She was, if you go to the next one, that's the holy ground again, next one. Okay, keep going. There you go, you saw this plaque, right? Basically a plaque was put up as the title of Pilgrim of Gorée, which is like an ambassador for peace, basically. One thing, again, they reported this, but they didn't report who the other names on the plaques were. Because when I was talking to people, most people thought that if you zoom out, you're just going to see like 100 plaques on the wall. No, no, no. On this, you have Nelson Mandela above, and then you've got President Barack Obama, and you've got the former president of Portugal, and you've got the Duke of Luxembourg, and that's it. So this is the kind of level that the Senegalese government and the Senegalese people saw True Mother as. They saw them as those kinds of, they saw her as those kinds of world leaders. So it's something we've never done before in our movement, and it's really something special. Okay, let's go next. This is the door of no return, as it's called. Basically, you go through that door onto a ship, you're never setting foot on your homeland again. So that's, yeah, seeing Mother at that point was very heart-wrenching. Next one. And this is our European team. So we sent a lot of people. Overall, this is I don't know how many. We had a lot of people there. So the African success is something that I think that Europeans can really be proud of, even if we weren't there. It's something that we really took ownership of. It's something that we helped and something that we offered. You know, there's a fine line that we're always worried about is, you know, are we just recreating this kind of imperialistic whatever? Do you know what I mean? There's always that sensitivity there. Are we overstepping our bound? Are we offering, or are we taking over? And I think it's very fair to say that as Europeans, we did a really good job there. And we really offered everything we could. And I want to keep that relationship going as much as possible, because actually Father said before he passed away that the road to Europe is, wait, is that true Father or true Mother? True Father, right? The road to Europe is through Africa. I believe it. It's true. If you go there and you work there and you offer there, it's absolutely true, and I understand that completely. And when Mother said, you know, repeated it again, you know, please, Europeans come. Why? To help Europe. And, you know, Mike Balcom, he got it immediately, started mobilizing. You know, it was really impressive to see. And it's not something that can be described very easily. But when you go there as a mission to offer, then you really do take something back. Which kind of leads me on to, let's leave that on there for a while. See if you've got some faces to recognize it. It kind of makes me question, you know, what's different about the unification movement compared to other religious movements? Is that something we've thought about before? Anyone? What's different?
Don't we incorporate all religions?
We do, but we're not the only ones. Actually, there's a Christian church that my dad attended. He goes to Christian churches a lot and stuff like that. And he was very surprised that when they had their prayer, one of their prayer points was about, you know, we pray for the people that came before us, and, you know, the Jewish faith and things like that, but also what comes after us. And, you know, they were praying for other religions as well. It's very interesting. We're not the only ones that do that, actually. Any other suggestions?
World restoration.
World restoration. You could say the same thing about the Christians, no? Theologically speaking.
I think that it was a second generation, therefore they already are part of God's kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Say the same thing about the Jewish people, though, couldn't you?
Old Testament, complete Testament.
But the complete testament means something to us. It doesn't mean something to other people. You see? Yeah.
Oh, the change of lineage.
Change of lineage, the blessing.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we agree with. The blessing is something that's very kind of unique to us. Although, I think there are some others that believe something very similar, though, right? That once you, like for instance, baptism is almost a change of lineage. Yeah? It's a very difficult question, yes?
I'm just standing on the Lord of the Second Advent.
Mm-hmm. There's loads and loads of cults in America that would disagree with you. We've had many, many messiahs. But no, it's true. That's one thing that we do have. One of the things that's unique to us is that we believe that the Second Advent has come and, you know, left his legacy and has passed on to the spirit world. Father, he said it actually very clearly. And it's something when I read, I didn't think, it didn't make sense until I thought about it a little bit more. But this is what he said. He said, "What impressed me recently is that only I have discovered and clarified that the principle of Cain and Abel is the fundamental principle in the cosmos. If one understands this principle, one understands 70% of the secret of the cosmos. All the relationships in the cosmos are based on the principle of Cain and Abel. Then where should we be at the center of it? It is exactly in the middle." He said that in 2011. Interesting, right? The thing that defines our movement, one of the things that defines our movement is Cain and Abel. So let's extrapolate that. Cain and Abel is in what section of the divine principle? Restoration, right? Restoration, this concept of restoration is something that we take very seriously in the unification movement. And that's actually something that makes us a bit unique. If you think about all of our stuff throughout history, it's all about restoration, right? That's why Father came, to restore. It wasn't to save. It wasn't to just create salvation, but it was as the big step, the next step in the providence of restoration. And by that definition, if our primary belief is that of the providence of restoration, then how do we act as a movement? How does that influence our actions and our events and stuff like that? Yeah, if you think about it, most of them are to do with restoration of some kind or another, or should be to do with restoration of some kind or another. So what about in practice? That's our theology. What about in practice? Is it something that we really, really care about? Or do we sometimes see our own actions and our own practices as a movement, or as groups in that movement, or as individuals in that movement, to be actually not very special compared to the rest of the world? Are we really unique in practice, or are we only unique in theology? What do you think? I agree. Our practice, of course, this is what Father anticipated, because the theology that we've been given by Father is such a gift, it's so out there, that it takes time for our practice to match our theology. But the whole point of restoration is that we keep moving forward, right? We keep going, because every time restoration stops, it's because people have stopped restoring, right? So in terms of practice, what do we do that other people don't do? I thought about this for about an hour. I could think of one example, and it wasn't a very good one. I was wondering if anybody can help. In practice, is there anything that we do in practice that other religious movements or other secular movements don't do? Yes?
For example, the matching of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the religion is doing.
The Hindus? The Hindus do that.
Like Unification Church?
Yeah? Okay, story time. A friend of mine...
No, I'm talking about the bridging of the gap. Like the bridge of peace, for instance.
Oh, I see. Like international marriage and blessing. Yes. That's the one I could think of. That's the only one I could think of. But apart from that, I couldn't think of anything else. Is there anything else we do? Like that, it's profound, it's big, it's world-changing. I believe it, I see the results. Is there anything else that we do that's different from any other religions?
Peace Road.
Peace Road? I mean, we don't really do Peace Road. We hold up a flag that says Peace Road on it, on roads. But what is Peace Road?
No, I think what we should be doing, rather than are doing, at least that for me, is we should be blessing people as many as we can,
Mm-hmm.
and restoring the nation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the theory. In this country, they are not. I mean, I'm sure there's some brothers and sisters which are properly doing the job, but
Mm-hmm.
only the far and few between this.
So basically, the reality is that in terms of practice, you look at us and you look at other religions, and we're not very much special, right? In terms of the reality. Is that fair to say? I know it's challenging, it's hard, and if you disagree with me, feel free to disagree. But that's what I see. I think we've lost our sense of mission. And that's why in Senegal, when I asked, I need people to come, the only people that responded was STF and a few other amazing people, about a dozen amazing people in the whole of Europe, even though True Mother said, come to Senegal. It wasn't me saying it, yeah.
It's the thing that just crossed my mind, because I was reading the other days about Christianity, that people talk about individual salvation, but they don't think about saving a family.
Yes, yes.
That's one issue that I've just thought about.
It's true. It's true. We believe in family level restoration, not just and based on that, societal and national level restoration, like you said. These are things that we believe in. So, what is our mission in the UK? What is our mission? Not what. Basically, what should we be doing, as prescribed by ourselves, by True Mother, by our leaders? Yeah. this is a nice way to see where our mission is. The national prayer points, I guess you guys have seen this. They're pasted on the bottom of all the emails, the national level emails that we receive. There's a bunch at the back, and some of us pray for them. This is a really good way to understand what our national level mission is, okay? So, international and national leadership. So this is for the safety and success of True Mother's visit to Vienna. Yeah, great thing. Good, spirit-filled and principled leadership in our unificationist communities. That's, you know, from Mike Balcom to David Hanna to Matthew Hewish to our regional levels. Theresa May and her government to negotiate the best departure from the European Union. Okay. Here we go. FFWPU mission, successful local family festivals of transformational workshops, so 7-day workshops and HARP workshops. Blessing information days, STF and done, and home groups, and to find a HARP leader, a CARP leader, and a treasurer. These are our national prayer points. There's nothing in here about outreach or anything I'm a bit concerned about. Maybe we can have that added in. But the point is that when we go through these national prayer points, okay, let's do a little question and answer, okay? So the safety and success of True Mother's visit to Vienna at the end of April, is it something that we want? Yes? Is it something that we're doing? I mean, some of us, yeah. I mean, bear in mind, I'm speaking to an elite crowd here. I feel a little bit out of my depth. Okay, what about this? Success of local family festivals and marriage blessing events. Is it something that we want? Yes. Is it something that we're doing? Success of blessing information days. Is it something that we want? Is it something that we're doing? Success of done and STF. Is it something that we want? Is it something we do? Do you see what I mean? All of these things are things that we want, but they're not our missions. They're not things that we're actually doing and contributing to. And I see a problem with that. We're in danger of becoming a movement that is purely about praying for other people to do stuff. Whereas what we're supposed to be is we're supposed to be a movement for restoration, for, you know, doing these incredible things. We're supposed to be a movement of mission. Okay, who here has been given a mission at some point in their life? Raise your hand. Given a mission. Something is like, okay, here's your mission. Your mission is to do this. Bam. Not a job, a mission. There's a difference, right? Okay, sorry, again, one more time. Okay, so who here has never had that experience before where somebody has said, this is your mission? Okay? See, there's a bit of a divide in the room. As a second generation, it has been implicitly taught to me that my mission of my life is to get a good education, to get blessed, to have kids. And then maybe to look after other younger second gen. Yeah? There's no mission for other second gen in our movement other than looking after other second gen. It's true. I've never been asked to do anything. I've never been told to do anything. I've never been given a mission for anything. And I think that's really sad. Is it because, I don't know, maybe it's because yes?
Everyone's asked to witness everybody.
I agree. And that's the mission that we've been given, but do we feel like it's our mission? That's another question. You know, it goes both ways. If you tell somebody to do something and they don't do it, then they're not doing their mission. Yeah?
Yeah, what I want to say is also that if we have a mission, we also need to have the desire to do it. Because if someone told us, you have to do this, but you need to like it and have a minimum of patience about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You need to have that desire. Where has our desire gone? Where's our desire to save the world? First gen. I hear a lot of joining testimonies, and they're one of my favorite testimonies to listen to, because usually you learn something very new about the person, and it's usually about they've done something crazy in their life, something absolutely mental that I couldn't imagine myself doing. But at some point, did any of you join because you wanted to save the world? And second gen, is that something that you have a desire to do, or is it something that, like when you're 5, you pray for world peace, but you don't really understand what it means, and it's just like, I pray for world peace because you think it would be a nice idea because everybody else thinks it's a nice idea? Or is it something that we desire? Do we desire to save the world? I can confidently say, yeah, I do. But I think it's something that we all share. That hasn't gone, that hasn't disappeared. I was speaking with, when I was in Zambia, the reason I got asked to do Senegal is because I did Zambia, the ILC in Zambia, and I was speaking to some members of True Family there, and they asked me, why did you come to Zambia? Like, you don't have to be here, like, you're not getting paid, like, why are you here? You've never been to Zambia before, you have no connections here, you don't know anybody here. And I said, well, because as a second gen, European second gen, I will never get asked to do anything for the church outside of my own local community, maybe helping out with Sunday service, or being asked to look after some harpies or something like that, or carpies. So there's something I'll never get asked to do. In my entire life, I'm confident that nobody will ever ask me to do that. So if I want a mission, if I want to do something, I have to just do it and take it and then offer that up. That's something that I have to do. Otherwise, I'll end up doing nothing. It's the only way. And then, other people maybe they can follow and you can get groups together and it happens. But it's the only way to get it done is to just do it and to not wait for somebody to ask you to do it. That's the problem. Like, I feel like I was waiting for such a long time for somebody to ask me to do something. Whereas, when it came around to Zambia, somebody said, oh, there's going to be an ILC Zambia. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, of course, I'm going. It wasn't something that somebody had to tell me, okay, you have to go. But the problem is that we've been waiting so long for somebody to tell us something. But, guess what? Britain's not on the map. No one knows about us. It's a reality. We're irrelevant. Because we've made ourselves irrelevant. Yes?
Can I just say one thing in relation to that? I think there is like an underlying belief or thought that from first gen, that second gen are very different. And just, I can challenge you because we have Matthew Hewish, he's a second gen. So there is a movement towards second gen taking mission. There are a few around Europe and other places that is happening. But on the other hand, I think we have to, some second gen have set a bad precedent over time, not wanting a mission. In many of them, they want to make good money, blah, blah, blah. I'm speaking honestly.
Yeah, of course, please.
There are some who I know who are just focusing on their career and so on. They were not interested in mission. So I think a number of first gen have kind of given up on that. That shouldn't be the case. They've kind of given up. But there are many exceptions. There are many like yourself who want to do mission.
Well, the thing is, I think there's a good reason for that. Here's something that is very painful, but it's very honest and it's true. I have never, ever in my entire life seen anybody have their life changed by divine principle. I've never seen anybody join this movement and had their life changed. I haven't got a single example in my head, and I'm one of the more active ones. Other second gen, have you had a similar experience? People learn from what they see. And right now, I don't it's very difficult to get people to think, yeah, this is a great movement with great things that people want to join. Because is it the reality? So yeah, we can teach our kids and we can teach our brothers and sisters that this is great. Why? Because this and this and this and this. And look at this cool book, and it has a bunch of stuff that really makes sense, and I get it, and it, you know, helps my life and it changes my life. But you know, it's very difficult to witness when you don't see it happening. You know, you just think, am I going to really find that one person that the whole nation can't find? Okay, that's not true. You know, there are people, but it's not very common. So I understand, especially why a lot of the older second gen, they had a really terrible, tough time, because they had this huge expectation that was put on them, but it was all theoretical expectation. You know, that, you know, you look at, I don't have that many older brothers and sisters in the movement. I have maybe, I can probably count them on my hands. And Matthew Hewish being one of them. You ask Matthew Hewish the same question, he could probably do it on one hand, if not less. You know, exceptions come through, but I think we've gone past the point now where we can talk about, you know, when we're talking, what is our mission overall? Really, it's kind of like Vision 2020 is our kind of obscure mission. When we're talking about that kind of thing, I think the divide between first and second gen becomes less and less relevant, right? It becomes adults and children, kind of. And the fact is, we don't have that many adults, new adults coming into the movement. And I think it's a shame. And I really think it's because what happened in our movement is we became more and more successful, right? I think that's fair to say. And we started focusing on bigger and bigger and bigger goals. And because of that, maybe some people got left behind. And suddenly those bigger goals, they're the only ones that got talked about, when actually people's individual missions and people's individual testimonies were more valuable. And I think that that's something that we've lost. We've lost this sense of personal mission. We have a group mission, we have a national mission, we have an international mission. But some of us have lost our personal mission because we're waiting to be asked to do something. Actually, the reality is that we just got to do it, and if it's wrong, we apologize, and actually we don't care that much. You know that saying, it's better to, it's easier to apologize than it is to ask permission. You know, we're a movement of rebels. We are, right? We're a movement of kind of a collection of hodgepodge people who wanted to save the world and threw their lives at saving the world. And I'm, you know, a product of that, and I'm incredibly grateful. And I want to carry that legacy on, yes?
I just wanted to say, I think what you said there was very interesting, but it comes down to, I think this piece begins with me, that kind of, you know, what Mike Balcom said recently was really interesting and profound, and that's that we need to now be living in the morning. You know, we've had the evening, we've been through the night, but I think, I don't know, first, second gen, whoever we are, whatever experiences we've had, I think the way forward is to leave them in the night and then wake up to the morning. And this is what Mother's been asking, Mike saying, Mother asks him all the time, is he living in the morning?
I like
and
that.
That's how I check myself. You know, whenever I feel heavy and burdened by who said what, who did what the movement did, what happened to me, in a lot of first gen stuff and second gen stuff I know from my children, I just bring myself into the morning. Peace begins with me. What does God want me to do today, literally today, this moment? How does God want me to go to church? With what attitude should I come here? You know, what do I give once I arrive? And with all that you're saying, although much of it I'm sure is true, I think it's time now, as I'm sure you're beginning to say, for us to go into the morning.
I agree. I really like that. You know, we're very good. No, it's great. You know, we're used to these graphs. You know, we're great at charts and graphs, and you know, usually with a blue background, dark blue background on a PowerPoint, and we're used to things like this. But the reality is, it doesn't always work out like that. You know, things go round and around and around, and a lot of people, you know, some people disagree with me, but a lot of people agree with me that we've kind of been sleeping. It has been nighttime, right? And a lot of people also agree with me that people are starting to wake up. And it's great. But people wake up at different times, right? People wake up at different moments in their life, and you know, some people need somebody else to wake them up. Some people, you know, oh, this person's getting up, I'm going to go follow them as well. And I really want to celebrate those people, and I want to focus on those people, because, you know, without a mission, without restoration, we become irrelevant. We become a movement of has-beens, and we could become a movement of, you know, just a cheap knockoff of a Christian community, really. The kind of cheap copyrighted Korean version that you find in the markets that isn't actually Adidas, it's just Abibas or whatever. We become one of those. And I really don't want to see that happen, because this is my family, right? This is my home. Anyway. Yeah, I don't like ending on a message as such. I don't like ending on a commission or a shout-out or anything like that, because, I mean, you guys are smart enough to, you know, interpret anything and agree and disagree and apply that to your own lives, because my job is not to tell you what to do, right? We pray in our own name now. We have our own personal responsibilities to do now. But especially as we go to this period, like, I don't know what's going to happen in Vienna. There's a chance that Mother might come again to Europe this year. I don't know what's going to happen in Vienna. I don't know exactly what the speech is going to be about. Mother doesn't prepare her speeches. She improvises everything. But from what, you know, I've been very lucky to spend a lot of time with True Mother over the past 6 months or so. You know, I'm anticipating something, and I want us to be ready for that. I want us to be ready for, you know, the worst thing would be if Mother comes to Europe and says, okay, guys, this is the deal now. We've got to do this. Isn't this a great idea? And it probably won't be something generic. It will probably be something a little bit more targeted, because she likes to do that. And then for us to go, yeah, great, inspiration, woo, excellent, peace starts with me, and then to go home and then to come back to our normal lives. So I want us to be ready for something. I want us to be ready to accept something and to not think too much about it. You know, not think too much about, it's going to be really difficult. Or not think too much about, oh, I don't know if I can manage it, or I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'm not the best person to do it, somebody else should do it. It doesn't work like that. The best person to do it is the person that wants to do it and ends up taking it. Yeah? So I'm just going to end with a prayer now, and let's try and keep that in mind, especially up and coming for True Mother's visit. Okay, let's pray. Our dearest, most heavenly parent, true parents, thank you for giving us the opportunity that we can be here in this special place. Let's not take this for granted, that actually a lot of people in the world, they are not in a position that they can give back to the world. They're in a position only where they have to look after themselves, and it's the only way that they can survive. But Heavenly Parent, you've put us in this incredible position where we can offer ourselves to you and offer ourselves to each other, that we can make something bigger than just ourselves as individuals. And we know that you've been calling us for thousands of years, and that you know, some of us in this room, and we're so desperate to respond to you, and we're listening for you, and we're calling out to you. And Heavenly Parent, we want to say that we're so grateful, and we want you to watch us as we do incredible things. You know, watch us as we do more than you expect us to do. Heavenly Parent, please receive the offering that we give of our lives and our hearts and our minds, and make something good with them, even if it's just to help one person or to save one person in your name. please accept this prayer, and I report this in my name, Oliver Davies, for Blessed Central Family, RG.